So now that we got BetDSI on board, we're going to go through some NFL divisional winners and some previews as well. So let's start with the NFC East, and we'll go through each individual team and their individual odds. So as you see, the Eagles are obviously the favorite to win the NFC East. Minus 200 there, Cowboys plus 350, Giants plus 450, and the Redskins plus 875. So I'm going to give you guys my pick in terms of who you should bet on this year. Not necessarily who I think is going to win, but who you should bet on, because there's a big difference sometimes. For this, it's pretty obvious, because I don't really want to put money down on the Cowboys right now. That offense is just a big question mark. So many injuries on that offensive line right now. I'm worried about what Dak Prescott's going to be without someone like a Dez Bryant and without Jason Witten. The Giants, I just don't think are there yet. I think that offensive line is still a little bit suspect, and you will never convince me that Eli Manning is anything more than a mediocre quarterback at this time. And the Redskins just don't have a lot of talent on their team. They simply don't. The defense has a couple nice players, but it's just not really there at this point. So if you're looking for someone to bet on in the NFC East, you're not going to make a ton of money back, but it's still the Philadelphia Eagles at minus 200. Has to be. They're the best team in the division. They might have the best roster in the entire NFL. They added a bunch of great pieces to an already great defensive line. The secondary is very good. The offensive line is arguably the best unit in the entire NFL. Carson Wentz is going to come back. They have a great stable of running backs. They have good pass catchers, and in my opinion, the third best tight end in football in Zach Ertz. Now, if you bet $10, and that's going to be our basis for gambling today, if you risk $10, you're going to win $15. So if you risk $10, you'll end up with $15. That's a good bet. Easy bet, low risk. You know the Eagles are going to end up winning this division. Their odds are minus 200. Like, the only team that's really going to compete for that division in terms of winning, I think, are the Giants. I don't think the Cowboys are going to come anywhere close to winning that division. I think they're pretty overrated. But I think overall with this Eagles team, there's simply too much talent for them to fail. And I know it's a very dangerous thing to say that they're too talented to fail, but they almost are. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I don't think they're even going to make it back to the Super Bowl. The Falcons are my Super Bowl team this year for the NFC. But if you're going to put money on a team to win the NFC East, this is not one that you want to overthink. It's simply not. Put some money down on the Eagles and use BetDSI while you are at it. Let's go to the AFC East now. Now, it's pretty obvious, right? The Patriots are going to most likely win the AFC East, right? But I don't want to put money down on a team that's minus 800 to win their division. I'm not going to make any money back. I'm not going to make any money at all. I think that is, it's just, why even put money down on the Patriots at that point to win their division? So you have to go based off of who is the best chance of winning the division if this is the year the Patriots crumble. And it very well could be. The receiving core is bad. Trust me, they're bad. As someone who, again, covers the Patriots and follows the Patriots, they are bad. New left tackle in Trent Brown, who hasn't looked great in the preseason so far. The secondary is still a little bit suspect. The linebacker core is still very injury prone. It doesn't have a lot of talent behind it after Donta Hightower. The defensive line is a question mark as well. The defense in general is a question. So if you're looking for a team to put money down on right now, to me, it has to be with the team that has the second best quarterback in the division. It's the New York Jets. It's absolutely the New York Jets. Plus 1,500 to win the division. That's easy. If you put down $10, you can end up winning $160 if this is the year that the Patriots collapse. Think about it. What happens if Sam Darnold comes in and is one of the best rookie quarterbacks of all time? What happens if Sam Darnold comes in and puts up Deshaun Watson-like numbers last year but plays a full healthy season? They have a decent receiving core. They have a decent running back core. Their defense is young and feisty with some very good talent on it, especially on the outside. They've gotten some good players in that secondary to build around. And again, this could very well be the year that the Patriots collapse. It could be. Tom Brady's 41 years old. Julian Edelman's missing the first 4 games of the season and is coming back from an ACL tear. We know that Rob Gronkowski isn't going to play 16 games. We know that that defense is going to give up a lot of yards and most likely a lot of points as well. And if you want to actually make some money on the AFC East this year, I think the Jets are a pretty good bet. I really do. You can make $160 by just putting down $10. That $160, if the Patriots fail, sounds like a pretty good deal to me. So let me know in the comment section below, who are you putting money on to win the AFC East? I'm putting a little bit of money down on the Jets. Minus 800 on the Patriots is just, you're not going to make any money back. It's just a waste of your time. You're not going to be able to actually make something else. Let's go to the NFC North now. one of the most competitive divisions in football. I mean, you got the Vikings, you got the Packers, you have the Lions, who people keep telling me are going to be sneaky good. I think they're an 8-8 football team. And you have the Bears, who I think could surprise some people. I think they're a year away, but they're always a team that you think is a year away that ends up kind of blowing up the NFL. We saw it with the Jaguars last year, saw it with the Texans last year as well before Deshaun Watson goes down. There's always a team that surprises you. I think the Bears can end up being that team. But the Vikings at plus 100 to win the NFC North. When I'm putting money down, I like to focus on the best player in the division. Which team has the best player in the division, and also which team can I get the most return on my investment for? And for me, the best combination of that on the NFC North is the Green Bay Packers at plus 160. Aaron Rodgers is coming back. Their secondary, which was without a question the biggest issue on their entire roster last year, their corners were garbage, absolute garbage last year. They add Josh Jackson. They add Jair Alexander in the first 2 rounds of the draft. Tremont Williams is now in there as well. Kevin King has another year of development as well. Their secondary looks a lot better. Their defensive line, added Mo Wilkerson. They got Jimmy Graham in there now. Aaron Rodgers is back healthy. You risk $10, you win $26. For me, this is the best deal in the division. Plus 100 odds for the Minnesota Vikings, I like. But remember, we still don't know what Kirk Cousins is going to be like on this team. He, to me, is still a massive question mark. $84 million guaranteed is a lot of money to live up to. Their starting running back is coming off of an ACL tear. I think their offensive line is a little bit shaky. They've had to deal with a lot of injuries on that offensive line. I do love their receiving core, and I do love their defense, but I think when push comes to shove, the Packers are going to win more games. And I think that or more important games this year. The Packers have a lot of big-time games this year. Got a game against the Patriots, obviously 2 games against the Minnesota Vikings this year. But the Vikings are playing a first-place schedule. The Packers are not. And I think the schedule difference in terms of difficulty are going to vault the Packers into the #1 spot in the NFC North. So I'm putting down some sweet cash homie on the NFC North, and I'm putting my money down on the Green Bay Packers. Let me know in the comments section below what team you are putting money on to win the NFC North this year. Let's go to the AFC North. So we got the Steelers at minus 300. We got the Ravens at plus 265. Got the Browns at plus 900 and the Bengals at plus 1,000. I want to point one thing out about this. I think it's outrageous that the Browns have better odds to win the division over the Bengals. I think it's outrageous. I think the Bengals simply have more good players. Do the Browns have anyone on their team who is even close to as talented as A.J. Green? No. No, they don't. I mean, Josh Gordon's a nice player, but we don't even know when he's going to play. Jarvis Landry is a slot guy who I think is going to take a step back statistically this year. The Browns' defense is still a huge question mark to me. That secondary is a lot of problems. But for me, look, you got to bet like you're going to win. And I think putting money down on the Steelers to win the AFC North this year, look, Big Ben to me is starting to decline. And I think with Le'Veon Bell's contract issues, we don't know what he's going to be like this year. I don't like that defense. I've never liked the Steelers' defense. People keep telling me it's good. I think it's one of the most overrated units in football and has been over the past 5 years. They haven't replaced Ryan Shazier. I'm picking the Ravens. I'm picking the Ravens. I think the Ravens have been one of the most impressive teams in preseason so far. That defense looks great. Joe Flacco looks engaged. That wide receiver core has a lot more top-end talent on it now with Willie Snead and Michael Crabtree. I think the O-line has some kinks to work out, but I think this Ravens team is going to be feisty this year, and I think they're going to be sneaky good. They're going to win a wild card, at least for me this year, and I think they can make a run at the AFC North. What happens if Big Ben goes down? If Big Ben goes down, Landry Jones is the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If Joe Flacco goes down, they got Lamar Jackson. So for me personally, I'm putting some money down on the Ravens. You risk $10, you get $36.50. That's a good deal for me. That's a safe bet. That's a good investment as well. So I'm putting some money down on the Ravens. Let's go to the NFC South. Let's jump back to the NFC. This is probably the most difficult division to pick in football. Saints at plus 150, Falcons at plus 160, the Panthers at 310, and then the Buccaneers at 950. People are so obsessed with this New Orleans Saints team. I understand. Good football team. Alvin Kamara is fantastic. Personally, I think Alvin Kamara is going to take a step back. It's just the nature of how the NFL works. I think he's going to regress. But a team that is primed to make a huge run this year, and also for my money, I said this earlier in the show, has the best roster in football are the Atlanta Falcons. And that's who I'm choosing to win the NFC South this year. Just, they are stacked at every single position across the board. Every single position, they have fantastic players. Defensive end, great players. Defensive interior, great players. Linebackers, corners, safeties, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive line, quarterback, running back. They are stacked everywhere. There's not a single glaring hole in this entire team. Not to say the Saints have any crazy holes, but I just think the Falcons have a better overall roster than the Saints do. I will take the Falcons running back core over the Saints. I like Kamara and I like Ingram. Give me Tevin Coleman and give me Devonta Freeman over those two guys. Give me the Falcons wide receiver core. Give me the Falcons offensive line. And give me the Falcons secondary over the Saints. I like Marshawn Lattimore, but I simply think the Falcons are deeper at secondary than the New Orleans Saints are. So I'm putting money down on the Falcons to win the NFC South this year. Let me know in the comment section below who you are putting money on to win the NFC South. I get it. People love the Saints. But, man, this Falcons team is really, really good. All right, let's go to the AFC South. Man, Jaguars at plus 175, Texans at plus 200, the Titans at 310, and the Colts at 500. People get distracted, I think, by individual units and not overall team talent. And I think the AFC South is a perfect example of that. People look at the Jaguars and they tell me they're the best team in their division. Their offense is bad. I know the offensive line's a little bit better with Andrew Norwell coming in. Leonard Fournette's going to have hopefully a full healthy season. Blake Bortles is still the starting quarterback. I'm sorry. Blake Bortles is still the starting quarterback. For the Texans, I think their defense is massively overrated. I know that Clowney and Watt and Merciless are all coming back. I think that secondary is aging and aging fast, and they got a lot of holes that they got to fix up in that back seven. But for me, the team that actually has the best roster in this division is the Titans. They do. Great wide receiver core on the outside. Hopefully Corey Davis can take the next step forward. Great running back core with Dion Lewis, along with Derrick Henry. The offensive line is very stable. The defensive line has a lot of good pieces on it. They add Rashad Evans to the linebacker core despite losing Avery Williamson. They add Malcolm Butler because, they can't have enough Patriots on that team. Malcolm Butler, Logan Ryan, Kevin Byard is one of the better safeties in the NFL. This is a very good roster, a very complete roster, a very well-rounded roster. And as we've seen in the NFL over the past couple of years, individual units can lead you and obviously do very, very well. But all-around teams are the ones that end up winning Super Bowls. All-around teams are the ones that end up winning divisions. The Jaguars were a surprise last year. That surprise is gone. And the last time I checked, they gave up a lot of points to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the postseason last year. They gave up 45 points to the Pittsburgh Steelers last year in a playoff game and then lost to the Patriots in the fourth quarter. So we don't know if that defense is going to be the same. The talent is there, but they have another year of tape on them now. Let's see if that surprise is still there. For me, new offense coming in, new head coach in Mike Vrabel. I think it's going to open up Marcus Mariota. So I'm putting money on the Tennessee Titans to win the AFC South this year. Let me know in the comment section below who you are putting money on to win the AFC South. I want to thank Mizzen and Main for supplying me with what has to be the most comfortable thing I have ever worn. These Mizzen and Main button downs, they're crazy. I wear them to sleep. I swear, I really do. I'll fall asleep on the couch and I wake up feeling like I'm not wearing anything. These Mizzen and Main shirts are so unbelievably comfortable. Head to comfortable.af because, ladies and gentlemen, these shirts are comfortable as F. All right, let's go to the NFC West. Got the Rams at minus 170. Got the 49ers at plus 300, got the Seahawks at plus 450, and got the Cardinals at plus 1750. Now, I haven't chosen a lot of favorites in order to win these divisions. I like choosing maybe the second team or the third team. I'm going to pick the favorite here. I think the Rams are going to win the NFC West. I think they're going to run away with the NFC West, honestly. A lot of people think that this is the biggest boom or bust team in the NFL, and I can totally understand why, but this team's going to boom. This team is absolutely going to boom. All the issues that they had last year, they completely filled. Their cornerbacks are fantastic now. Their front seven is ridiculous. They named Dominican Sue and eventually Aaron Donald on that defensive line. The offense got better. They added Brandon Cooks on the outside to give them a legitimate deep threat and a legitimate number one wide receiver next to Robert Woods. They have maybe the best running back in football. Jared Goff looks great. Their offensive line looks great. This Rams team is stacked. They're a great all-around football team. Look, we have that same phrase, all-around football team. And that is what the Rams are going to bring to the table. You got a comment from Dave King saying that the 49ers are way better on paper. No, they are not. No, they are way better on paper in terms of they're just the roster looks good on paper, but they do not have a better roster than the Rams. They don't. We don't even know if they have a better quarterback. Do we 100% know that Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Jared Goff yet? I don't think we do. I think we can think that we do because he had a couple nice games last year. But I will say this, Jimmy Garoppolo, he still had 7 touchdowns to 5 picks in 5 games last year. He didn't exactly light the world on fire with his overall statistics, whereas Jared Goff looked great last year controlling the offense. So I think that the Rams are going to run away with this division. I don't think they're going to win the NFC this year. I think they'll end up being the number 3 seed in the NFC again. But overall, I think the Rams are going to end up winning the NFC West. All right, let's jump to the AFC West, our last division here. Chargers at 125, the Chiefs at 225, the Raiders at 360, and the Broncos at plus 400. This one's tough. The AFC West is a really difficult division to pick this year. It really is. There's a lot, I think all 4 of these teams could end up winning the division. As you can see here with the odds from BetDSI, so do they. I mean, all 4 of those teams could end up winning the division. But for me, I'm going to make kind of a hot take here. I'm going to choose the Chargers, and I'm also going to go even farther. This is the best roster in the AFC. It is. They are outside tight end folks. I understand that their tight ends are crap. I get it. Hunter Henry got hurt, whatever. Mike Williams, their first-round pick from last year, has looked like an absolute stud in preseason to go along with Keenan Allen. Melvin Gordon's back. Their offensive line looks great. Phillip Rivers looks healthy. Their defense is going to be nuts this year if Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram can stay healthy. Their secondary is fantastic. All they really needed last year was a kicker. The Chargers are going to win the AFC West this year. They have a better roster than the Raiders. They have a better roster than the Broncos. And they have a better roster than the Chiefs. I understand that Patrick Mahomes is very enticing. I get that Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunter very enticing. That defense is bad. That defense is going to be one of the biggest question marks of any units in the NFL. That secondary after Eric Berry, put it in a trash can and light it on fire. Their best corner is they traded Marcus Peters. They just don't have a great elite corner anymore. And I think this Chiefs team is going to run into a lot of trouble against some of the better offenses in the NFL. So let me know in the comment section below, who are you putting money on to win the AFC East? I'm putting money down on the Chargers. I think that they are going to run away with this division.